All right, Blaine and I finished building up our wall yesterday, so I got all that buttoned up. So all we really going to focus on today is getting it backfilled. We need caps. It was weird. I'm pretty sure we got somebody else's order because we got 2.5 extra pallets of blocks and we needed 2.5 pallets of caps. Somebody messed up over there, I think, because we got an extra 2.5 pallets of blocks and no caps. I guess it's not really that big of a deal. If I had to choose, I'd rather come back to a site to finish something because he didn't have the materials than have to come back to a site because something got messed up. So,
Two things are happening. We are currently experiencing extreme block shortages to the point where we are ordering our materials 1+ month in advance to make sure that they're ready by the time we're starting the job. So we've got to be very accurate with our material count when we go in to order it. So if you guys are looking at doing your own project in your backyard or doing something for somebody else, make sure before you start it that you have the actual right materials on hand. The second thing that I'm noticing is not just something that is a block related. I went to one of the big box stores the other day to order concrete, just some bags of concrete. The entire store had no concrete in it at all. 5,000 bags of concrete is what they typically have on hand. They had none available that I could walk out the store with. And they said they didn't know when the next batch was going to come in. Do not use P-Rock. If the contractor you hire brings P-Rock out to your job site, you're in trouble. So what I'm talking about is the drainage material that we use behind our retaining walls is always the exact same thing. It's called 3/4 clear sewer rock. That's the technical term for it. And basically what it is, it's a very, very angular stone that we specifically pick out for its size and shape. That 3/4 inch rock, angular in nature, locks together as soon as you lay it in place. So any way that it falls, it's going to lock, and that's going to resist movement. The reason you don't want P-Rock is because that P-Rock with that circular tiny stones, if you get enough water flowing through it, it can roll and move. And if you have rock rolling and moving behind your retaining wall, it can mitigate the fines out of the soil, loosen the soil up, create hydrostatic hotspots, which is basically a super fancy word to say channels behind your wall. And anytime you get a channel behind your wall, you've now created the path of least resistance for water to follow, and that can create a wall failure, and you don't want that to happen. So do not allow any contractor to use P-Rock. Make sure you get the right drainage material, because that's the best way to ensure that you get the best product with the longest lasting results out there. So pick the right rock right out of the gate. And the rock that's in the drainage zone is the exact same material that we use for the base. We don't change that up in any way, shape, or form.
going a little bit wider on the rock than we normally would. So we needed 8 yards and we got 12. So they're gonna be getting a little bit more rock off the back of their wall than we normally would, which is not a bad thing to have more drainage area than not, I suppose.
So I'm going to disagree with Sam on this one because we do typically add more than what we're supposed to in our drainage zone. Let me explain. The retaining wall requires 12 inches minimum of drainage rock. And the second thing that contractors screw up the most, the first thing they screw up the most is they use P-rock or the wrong kind of drainage aggregate, but the second thing is they don't use enough of it. So although the specs for the retaining wall call for a minimum of 12 inches, you'll typically see all of our walls doing 2 foot, sometimes even 3 foot lifts in rock, and then we pyramid this massive drainage zone up to where we hit the grid, and then it's kind of a reset. Then the grid goes down, and then we go back down to 12. Well, actually we go wider on top of the grid, and then as we come up we pyramid it up. So you'll see our drainage zones act like multiple pyramids laying on top of each other, where it's always the very minimum is 12 inches, but I have absolutely no qualms going 24 inches, sometimes 36 inches. And the reason I say that is, although it's not bid for that, in an earlier video I said my goal is to build retaining walls that last longer than I do. And I think getting the right drainage material and not skimping on it are 2 key components to making that happen.
Good morning, everyone. Last day on our wall. So that's kind of cool. What do we have left to do? Nothing really. We're just gonna be doing some grading. I'll tell you what. The only thing worse than putting on cold boots is putting on cold wet boots. That's how I look at that. Joey's not here again today. He's sick. He came in yesterday for a little while. You know, see how he thought he was feeling better, but not so much. There's Blaine, and he's got the hydro bucket. Sweet. I'll probably bring the skid steer down there. That might be the logical next step of that. I don't know if you guys caught that, but we got a bunch of stuff we gotta haul out of here, and the dump truck or the dump trailer is absolutely 510% full of crap. So yeah. Uh-oh, gotta get the dog toy. Alright, so I know a lot of you not in Minnesota, this probably isn't going to mean nothing, but we're working in St. Paul, and I swear to you, this whole city was built on one big garbage dump, which is kind of fun. You know, you find some kind of neat stuff sometime. You know, you get some old bottles and like old marbles and stuff. I like those old marbles. Some of those are pretty cool, but I just found an oil filter. Fun stuff.
One of our governors got himself in hot water because he said St. Paul was designed by a bunch of drunken Irishmen. I don't know if any of that's true, but I'm just saying what he said.